6th, the year 2004. We're here today with our veteran, Peter Anthony Schamante, and we are at the offices of the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program at 15945 Canal, Clinton Township, Michigan, 48038. My name is Jim Pachuki, and I'll be the interviewer today. Our videographer is Joe Remote. Just to get it started, Peter, why don't you give us a little background, where you were born, went to school, so forth.
I was born in September the 24th, 1923.
So you're approaching 81 right now.
81, going on 82 in September. And I was born in Hutzel Hospital in Detroit, and my parents had midwife maternities, so to speak, where they came into the house, but I was born in a hospital, thank God. I was the last one of all the rest that had midwives. So that's what I did. Whatever.
Where'd you go to school, Joe?
I went to Greenfield Park School. This was in Detroit, on the end of the block on Longwood Street, and then I went to Nolan Intermediate School, and then I went to Cass Tech. At Cass Tech, I went there and I took up printing, and then I worked in a print shop after school and learned about printing, about setting the types and how to dictate or do different jobs in there. I learned a lot from that. I did not graduate from Cass Tech, but then if I go further on, in the service, I went to Arizona State.
Okay, well, let's back up now. And how did you get involved with the service? Were you drafted, or did you enlist?
I was not drafted. Uncle Sam was right on my neck, and I knew I had to go. So I volunteered, along with my uncle, who was 38 years old. And he was with Bob Hope and his crew. He was a comedian.
What was his name?
John D'Arca. And he's dead now. He has 2 children, and they live, I think, in Chicago. I don't know now.
How do you spell his last name? Do you remember?
D'-A-R-C-A. And he was with Bob Hope on the tours, going all over.
So where did you enlist?
I enlisted right here in Detroit, and I got on the plane and went to Port Sheridan, Illinois.
Was that at Fort Wayne in Detroit that you
Yes.
enlisted? Okay, and that's where you took your physical and everything?
I took the physical there, and a little humor, if you want. I had 5 fellas trying to take my blood, and nobody hit the spot. And so, needless to say, I passed out after 5 guys. I had a colonel have to do it. So that's a little story that is a story myself.
Welcome to the Army.
Yeah.
But how did you end up being in the Air Force?
I enlisted. And my serial number will state on there 16150891. That's my serial number.
Okay.
And
were you assigned, or did you enlist in the Air Force?
I enlisted in the, they told me, I enlisted. I said that's where I wanted to go. Everybody else went other places, but I wanted to go there. And I took a physical, and they said I was okay to fly, you know. So I knew I was going to be one of them. Then if you want to say, I went to tech schools in the Air Force to the B-17.
Okay, first of all, what airport did you fly out of here in Detroit, to go to Camp Sheridan?
I didn't. I was on a train.
Oh, you were on a train.
I was on a train, and that's when I went to Fort Sheridan.
That's where you took your basic training?
That's right. I took my basic training there, and then, of course, I was lined up for all those guys, and then they handed me my boots and everything for the military, and nothing fit me. I'll tell you that right now. Nothing fit me. I was wearing shoes that were too big, and it just seemed like I was a misfit. when I got my uniform on, I didn't even want to be seen in it sometimes.
Yeah, well, where did you? Well, once you got some clothes that fit.
When I got some food to fit, I had a tailor do it, and I had to pay for it too, by the way. And then, of course, I wanted to be like everybody else. I had to get a haircut, and one of the things that I didn't shave, I wasn't shaving. I was plucking out the hairs out of my head, out of my thing, because I didn't like to shave. I didn't like to shave. My father shaved, my brothers shaved and all that, but I didn't like to shave. And that's what I did. I was picking all the hairs that I had. So I got used to that.
So where'd you go after Camp Sheridan?
After Camp Sheridan, I went to Florida. I'm going to say it's Tampa, Florida. Mm-hmm. And I took my basic training there.
Oh,
and there's a story about that. The corporal at the time, he had 2 stripes. At a break, I had a break, and somebody said talked about a joke. I was laughing so much that when I got in line, he said that what was funny, Sergeant, soldier, and I says, oh, nothing. And so he says, put your mask on. So into my basic training, I had a mask on in Florida, in the sand, and he made me walk so far and turn around and come back and then go again to go back past the fellas that were flying. And when I did that, I wound up in the hospital because I was heat exhausted, and I wound up in a hospital because of what they did to me.
Do you remember what the name of the post was in near Tampa?
Yeah, it was in Savannah, Georgia. It was. I know it, but it just got put out. Get it?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, St. Petersburg, Georgia. That's where. I mean, St. Petersburg, Florida. That's it. Where the Tigers trained.
Okay.
There's where they were all the time. Where the Tigers trained. So I was dying to see the Tigers. You know, see them play. You know, and no way, Charlie. You know how that goes. So everything that happened to me was just like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't, and life to me was like, well, what can I do? You're in the service now, you can't do nothing. So and I had to be trained that to follow orders.
Right.
So that's the way it was at basic training. And I had an officer come up. He was a second lieutenant. He come up behind me when I was on guard and took my gun away from me. Tried to, and I fought him. And this is what I'm saying about, they said, you know, soldier, you could be the Article of War, 105th Article of War, that they can, for hurting an officer, you know. But that was one of my encounters that I had to do what I was told, and when to do it, and how to do it. And I said, what can't I do? Nothing. And that's the story of what I'm talking about.
After you went through your basic training, where did you go for your?
I went to Boeing Aircraft, and there I learned about the B-17.
Was this out in Seattle or?
At Seattle. It was in Seattle, Washington.
So
Oh, thank you. And I went there, and I met a family there that I could go off base when they said I could go. And so I went to the base on the weekends, and they were great people. They treated me just like one of the family, to the point that to this day, I have in contact with one of the people that are left of all the brothers in that this family had.
What was the family name?
Petrocelli. That's what their name was. And the daughter's living, she's in a different name now. And I called her, I'm going to say about 3 years ago, and she was afraid to talk to me because of her husband. Because I was a World War II veteran, and she was glad to hear me, and then I would talk to her, and it was just conversation, that's all. Where's your sister? Where's this? Where's Joe? And all the people that I remembered at that family. And there's a lot of things I can tell you, so that's one of the things that kind of struck me about family. And I'm family orientated. And my children are family orientated. And boy, they mind their P's and Q's.
Sure.
And so that's the story of one.
Is that where you took your training? And
No. Then after training, I went to Barksdale Field, Louisiana. Barksdale Field. I went to Gunnery School, and there I learned how to shoot all types of rifles and guns, and I had to dismantle any gun that I worked on. I dismantled it and put it together. And needless to say, I had to do that with the machine gun that I had in the plane, the B-26 that I was flying. So I went to the gunnery school, and I became a top-notch gunner, because out of 29 rounds, when I say 29 shots at moving targets in the ground, on the air, various ways that you can get a plane from the sky or the ground, I was able to shoot, and I got 29 shots out of 30. So I was very good at guns.
good eyes and good reactions.
That's right. I had a very, very good reaction, and my son is the same way.
And where was Barksdale?
Barksdale was Louisiana.
Louisiana?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so after you finished gunnery school, what did you do then?
Then I was, after gunnery school, I went to gunnery school. I went back to Florida and went to the same place, unfortunately. New Hampshire Hotel was the name of the hotel that I stayed in, and it was like a dream, because everything had to be spit and polished and everything, and my duty was to clean the tub. So what I would do on the tub, I would pour something up into the hole so it wouldn't leak, because it had no drops coming out of those. So I had got a cork and put it up there, and it was back flowing into somebody else's place. And as soon as it left, I went out there and pulled the plug, you know, because I was, well, it was military, it was restrictions. And that place was, I'll never forget it. It was the first grapefruit I ever picked off a tree right on the base. There was, I mean, on a hotel that I was in. You go out the back and there it is. I got pictures of that too. See, you can see pictures and oranges, you know, and I'd never seen that. And while I was there, during that, we had a frost. We had a frost, and they had pots up on there. Now, I didn't know what all that stuff, what they did, but they all knew what was going on. Everybody else knew it, but they.
Why did you go back to this camp? Why did you were there, you took your basic,
Okay.
then you went to Barksdale. Why did you go back?
I went back because I was going to get assigned a crew.
Oh, okay.
I see history somehow repeats itself, because I got on the B-26.
Is this where you were assigned to the crew?
Yes, that's where I was assigned to crew.
In Florida?
And here Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
And that's there, right there, that you could see. You might see the trip that we took, or how I went there.
Oh, so you were at MacDill Air Force Base?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
That's.
Okay, and here is MacDill Air Force Base. So he was right outside of Tampa. Okay, and this book we're looking at, is this a...
That's the book of Colonel Coiner, the one that my commanding officer when I got overseas.
Okay, it's up the 397th Bomb Group, the Bridge Busters.
And
so how long did you spend at MacDill waiting to get assigned?
oh, I was assigned right away. I was assigned, you know how they do it, team up, pilot, a co-pilot, engineer and gunner, radio man, and armor man. So there was 7 men in the crew, and once in a while they had a toggler come, which would drop the bombs, because towards the end of this, we're talking now after before the invasion, you know, we had pilots, they're co-pilots, pilots and co-pilots, and that were bombardiers. So everybody had a job to do that was assigned a job to do. And one of the things that I remember, if I do, I might be backtracking. We used to have what you call window. Window was stacks and stacks of tinsel foil, and we would drop that out in over in England off to Germany. And going over to Germany, is where we were getting the flak and all the mortar and all that coming on us. I flew. I only flew one mission in the B-17, and then Eisenhower changed the orders that all men are transferred over to the light bombers, which was the B-26s. And so I was assigned to a B-26.
How long after you went to MacDill did you go overseas?
My grandmother passed away, and I never had a furlough. I never had nothing during the time in the service. So my commanding officer here said, we'll take a leave, and then you take your own plane over to England. So I'm one of the guys. All the rest of the fellas went by boat. We took our own aircraft because they all had their aircrafts over there. And they had missions before I started. The missions were pretty tough.
When did you go to overseas?
I went overseas in 1942.
42.
And I think it was around the holidays,
Okay.
November, December.
So around the end of 42,
Yes.
So you really started your activities in the combat zone somewhere early in 43.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Because of the invasion, you know. And, just to inject this, the Glenn Miller's band, they had a band, and well, my crew was instructed to go on a trip across near the ocean where they were to see if I could find any bodies. I couldn't find nothing. And it was his crew, his band that there was about 7 or 8 men that were in that, or 10, I don't know, but they all died. And I was one of the fellas that was assigned with this pilot, whoever the pilot was at the time, to go and find that. See, everything happened in a way that, because I was the shortest guy, it seemed like I was the shortest guy and the smallest guy, that everything landed on me. It landed on my shoulder. I was a guinea pig for the chamber, for the not the gas chamber, but the oxygen chamber. That did not have a lack of oxygen, so that the other fellows in this chamber would see how I would react with a lack of oxygen, and I was a guinea pig for that. And when I did that, the fellows were joking me. They says, "You were just like a drunkard." They says, "You were talking out of your head," and so that's the way it was.
Yeah, lack of oxygen will do that to you.
Yeah, and it gets you. Yeah.
What was where were you stationed once you got overseas?
I was stationed in, I want to say Chelmsford.
Okay.
Chelmsford, England.
Is it what, CHELM?
It's Chelmsford, yes.
Chelmsford?
Mhm.
Okay.
England. And we went from there over to France. I mean, going to bomb France, see, because it was Germans.
Right.
See, and that's when when I started to get the action.
And these were in B-25s at this time, or B-26s?
B-26s. And I was on several aircraft because my replacement never came. That's why I flew 75 missions. And it was 10 missions and you go home. Then they changed it to 15. Then they changed it to 25. So I didn't have the graduate number because I never had a furlough until I told my commanding officer one day, I said, shit, I went in there, I didn't salute anybody, I went in there, I saluted him there when I said, and he said, wait a minute, did you see the sergeant out there? I says, I don't care about the sergeant of that. I says, what are you trying to do to me? Fly myself out of the sky? I said, or till I die? So he called the sergeant in. He said, send this guy to rescue him. I went back to England for 7 days. That's where I saw these guys that were coming back and had arms and legs that were amputated or whatever it was that was wrong. And I was talking to them to encourage them that's one arm, so you can still use the other arm or something. You can still bat the ball or whatever to make them feel better about themselves. See, I felt sorry for them. My heart was out for them. Even to this day. Even to this day. It was terrible.
It had to be extremely difficult.
No, and I just say that I know. I've seen so much that I can't say what I see.
You mentioned that you started to fly missions to France. What gunner were you, Joe? Or Pete? Were you waist gunner or?
I was a top turret gunner.
Top turret.
I was a top turret, and in the top turret, if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. But there was a shell that come up. It went right through and knocked my turret off, went up to whatever altitude we were at, and then it exploded. And now, I don't know how that shell was, but between my legs, there was a hole that went right through my turret. Knocked the turret off. Now, now, I might have not knocked all the turret off, but it was open.
That's enough to...
So that's all I know about it. That particular mission, I had 127 holes in my aircraft that I was flying.
Well, on any of your missions, were any of your crew members injured?
My co-pilot was. He got the Purple Heart for it. He was a P-38 flyer, and they took him out of that and put him on the B-26.
Okay.
So they know that. He goes, they put you where you got, and that's it.
How many missions did you, or about how many missions over France?
I flew all my missions. All my missions were from England over to France.
Okay.
All my missions, and here's what I've seen in the invasion, and I gotta talk about the invasion because I'll never forget it as long as I live. They had drag-toothed things in the ground on the ocean, so that anybody coming in could not get to the shore. This is the invasion. D-Day 1. And looking down there when I was going on that mission, I looked back and I seen soldiers all over the place, dead, as far as I could see. Now, I'm at 13,000 feet. And I seen these figures just laying in there. Because we were going lower. We were going lower to see what, there was a cannon up on the top that was shooting, there were riflemen down at the bottom shooting. All those guys just scattered all the way through the invasion of France, St. Lo and France. Those two I was on. And that's what I seen. And if you had to bail out of your aircraft because you were hurt or anything, you couldn't help but land on an aircraft out there shooting bombs.
Where was your bombing mission to on D-Day? Do you remember?
Yes.
What was your target?
I knew my targets and everything. That's right. I got it all right here. I got it all right here. And you could go over it after it in order to see, because as I said, I flew so many. There's a picture of one of the bombs that are on there. There's one of the missions I was on. Well, I was on all of them.
Right.
Every mission I was on. 75.
Okay, this is on April 20th, 1944, which is a little bit before D-Day. So that was where you were softening them up as much as we could.
That's right.
Okay.
And that tells the book. That's a book. And I have right now, I have a World War II Veterans Day. We're going to the, what do you call it? And I met, now I don't know. All the fellows that I knew were white-haired. I mean, they were younger, but some were ear problems, hearing problems, seeing problems, and all that. But I'd never seen, I seen the fellows from the World War II, these fellows here. I'm going to see them now, the end of September 23rd. I'm going to that field where they're going to be at, and they're all going to be there. The fellows that I know, now I know means of the various squadrons,
Right.
you know, that I might know somebody, I might not, you know.
Right.
So, but I am going to go.
Is this in England, or?
No, what's that?
Is this reunion being in England, or?
No, it's going to be right here in the reunion is going to be here in Chicago.
Oh, wonderful.
You know, it's going to be there, and I'm going there.
Wonderful.
So, and I'm going to see if I know anybody or not, but I know I won't, because all my crew's dead. All my crew's dead, except one that I never know. He's a little senile now. So, when I say senile, I mean he's whatever. He was a tough kind of a guy, but he wasn't tough at all. He acted tough, you know, but he wasn't that tough.
What, on D-Day, besides seeing the troops laying on the beach, what else can you remember of? You know, and just...
Well, I remembered that I was my crew was the first one after D-Day that we made the beachhead, you know, St. Lo, France and that they had a wire mesh thing for the runway. And my crews, all the crews that I had, we had a make fish field to land, but we had a landing strip to land and that, and we went there. Right from there, we went to Germany. So we had that beachhead there, but we were, every crew was taking the various areas where they had gun displacements and things that they were manufacturing, Me-109s and all the German, the German planes that to counteract what we had. So our P-38 was the closest thing to one of the Me-109s. And boy, when they come in on us, you had to know your aircraft recognition, or you would have shot one of your buddies out of the sky if it was one of them, because during the invasion day, there wasn't anybody that would come from England over to France, because they had just so much gas to go so far and then turn around and go back. So they did go in. They did go over there, but they turned around and come back because of their air fuel recognition. See? So this is what I'm saying. Everybody had a job to do. And boy, it was just that way.
Do you have any instances where you were sure you had successfully shot down a German aircraft or anything?
Oh yes, oh yes. I would say I'm going to say one.
Okay.
I had one come in on me, and here's an incident. I don't remember which one, how, but my gun jammed. I happened to be in the tail on this mission because I was a sub. Because I was subbed out to every crew, every pilot, and I would be their what you call an engineer gunner, and that's what I was. Now, what was I going to tell you about?
Well, we were talking about where you did shoot down.
Oh, well, this plane. When this plane came in on me, it was a 109. And I had to make sure it was a 109 because we had a 47 that looked like the Germans too, you know. And this mission, there was off in the distance an aircraft sitting out there telling the ground what our altitude is, what our speed was, and we were getting shot at left and right because that guy up there was giving our destination, not our destination, where we were going. So my pilot, whoever, the pilot or co-pilot, whoever it was, radioed about that guy is hurting us. Sure. And getting back to this 26 that I was on, this aircraft was coming in and my gum jammed. And so, and we have what you call a sear tip that goes in that holds the belt of all into the can and then up to the chamber into the gun for it to fire. Well, my chamber jammed and the sear tip broke. So had to do something because he wasn't coming in at the time he was making his round. So I had the Army shoes. So I took a piece of my rubber sole, and I had a piece about that big and about that long, and I stuck it into the chamber so to hold it up. When I did that, then the only way that I knew it was going to work is if I fired. So I waited till this ME-109 come in enough for me to get. And I let him have it, and that I know I hit. Now, it could have been that my radio man who was on the waist, or one of the radio men on the wings of one of the other guys, because they had a shot too.
Oh, sure.
So, but he was right on my tail coming in for that. So I knew he was coming for me, because with all these holes that I had, I knew that's what was going to happen.
Where did this happen? This was over France, or?
It was over France.
Over France.
It was over France. It was closer. It was closer to the middle. I'm going to say like the Rhine River.
Okay.
Oh, the Rhine River. There's some in there because I know so many missions in there. I've got a book of all the missions I remember, but I can't find it.
After D-Day was over and you had a base in France and you were flying to Germany, what was that like?
In Germany? I mean, going over?
Going over to Germany.
I was still, they were still shooting at us. In fact, I had an incident where there was a train full of Germans, and this I seen myself. It was going through a tunnel to come out, you know, and it was going on the other side. The Germans had the French. I seen a lot of people running away from the train, plus the GI, plus the Germans, that we could shoot at them. We could shoot at them because we were low enough, because we were going after a target. We were going after a target. We dropped our bomb, and then we were going after that target, and that was the target, that train going. So we were shooting at them, and they were scattered. The Germans were scattering into the woods.
Do you remember any of the towns or cities in Germany that you were?
If I went, well, here.
No, just offhand, do you remember?
Dusseldorf.
Okay.
Dusseldorf. I'll never forget Dusseldorf. I'll never forget Mainz. I remember Mainz. I remember. The German names were different.
Sure.
They were different, and the pronunciations were different. And you know, I could say gulp, and I'd say, well, what's gulp? Well, you know,
right.
You know. So the German names were different than I was accustomed. But the pilots knew the destinations where we were going,
right,
but not me. All we had to do is know who we were going to encounter when we got there. And we had everything. At the day's day, we had every kind of airplane in the sky that you could see up there.
When did, or how did the war end for you?
The war ended for me when I was back in the States.
Okay. How did that happen?
I went back to the States because Truman, I'm getting ahead of my time, but he's the one that said, that hit the bomb in Japan.
Right.
And and as far as Japan goes, I have a picture of, I got it in the other book. That's my pilot, and all of us.
Was this your original crew, or
That's
just,
my original crew.
this is your, do you remember the names?
Carl Canera is the radio man. John Wagger was the armor gunner. I was the engineer gunner. Then I had another gunner that was put in, and he was so frightened, needless to say, and I didn't want to say it like he was this coward, but he was so scared that I had to tell him to stay in that spot and don't move, because he was just out of this world. And Carl said, "What are we going to do with him?" I says, and I told him, "Stay there, don't move." And he stayed there, and he was just gunshot. And I remember that to this day. I don't know what happened to him or what. Maybe it made him go on another crew or something. But every day that I flew, and I flew every day except Saturday and Sunday, the English flew at night. They took care of their end of it at night. The Americans did it during the day. And that I know, and I say, what's that? The English are just afraid to come out at night. You know, we joke, you know,
Sure.
What, are they afraid to come out at night?
Right.
But I shot more V-2s out of the sky on my way going to France before we landed in France, that I shot them out of the sky before they got to England. We shot, now when I say I, the crew,
Right.
everybody,
Right.
everybody. There was over 1,000 planes with one squadron that went up. And so everything happened. Everything happened. And like I say, it was like target practice for us to shoot them out of the sky before they got to England.
Right.
And we had one. I was in England, sitting there by Churchill Downs, which is true. Was the English. Churchill Downs is where the palace is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and that's where he was.
Oh, okay.
And we were shooting them, and one landed near Churchill Downs.
Geez.
One, you know, and that's why we were knocking them out of the sky before they got to England.
You know what? I think it's time for us to show your jacket and stuff.
Okay.
So, why don't we?
Yeah, I'll do it for you.
Well, we have to get it so Joe can. I got this in. Let's set it up on the table here. I don't know if Joe can get it up there. And we gotta tip it a little. We're gonna see if we can get there.
You know it, and then I'll hold it.
Yeah. Okay. Here we are. Now, if you can tell us what we have here, Pete.
Okay. Up here we have my Schamante, and then I have my wings that was on my lapel. I have my dog tags here that says 110 East Longwood Detroit, Michigan, and I have on the bottom, I have my tag that says blood type. Okay. I'll go on.
Okay.
I'll go on there. This are my silver medals, and I have 2 more at home that I didn't put on.
Okay.
That they finally gave me. These are my theater of operations right here.
Okay.
The stars. And these over here are the theater of operation.
Okay.
Okay? On this there is my air medal.
Come on across and print it out.
This is my air medal
Okay.
that I just received from, I'm going to say, where my son lives now, in Arizona, that because I said I lost it, they sent me another one. And this is my, goes with that. This here is my bracelet that I wore with my dog tag number.
Oh, okay.
And that was on me at all times.
Okay. Why don't you talk us through the jacket and what you have on your jacket?
Now,
let me tip this a little more so we can. Okay.
Now, this jacket represents France, Belgium, Holland, Germany, and the Battle of the Bulge. I want to say that because I didn't have it on here.
Okay.
And the Battle of the Bulge is where the fellows were jumping off the cliff because Eisenhower and Patton was trying to get so that those guys wouldn't go overboard, because there were thousands of them were killed. I seen them coming across, and we had to bomb further on in so that those guys wouldn't jump off, and they were jumping off. I seen bodies. When I seen, that's another time. I seen fellas going. Just their lives, they were hitting the rocks before going down. They were hitting everything. They weren't even getting to the water. So that's what happened at the Battle of the Bulge.
I'll be darned.
So that was it. So and this is just to show that France, Belgium, Holland, and Germany at the Battle of the Bulge.
Okay.
Now this is a story. This woman in France made 2 pictures of this aircraft because we were on the base.
Okay.
She remembered me. She gave me one and one other fellow one that she made. She made this. And the woman in England, she's still living. In fact, she might be at this meeting. I don't know. But she's the one, and I got the letter to show that she sent me this.
Isn't that wonderful?
And so I prize that because that's the invasion stripes.
Sure.
It's exact. It's got the tail. She remembered the tail,
Right.
the color of the tail, and the plane that I flew.
Right.
So, and the last picture is me at 18 and a half.
All right.
And this jacket here is the original jacket that I flew, as you can see. And if you open this up, on the left side is this here, I carried candy bars.
Sure.
Well, they were melting. And I'd eat them up right away because they were melting on me. And I did it for one reason. I was going to give them to the kids in case I got shot down.
Sure.
And I keep them to give it to somebody and say, where is this worth it?
Right.
If we got shot down, you had to do something.
Sure.
You know, you carry a 45, you got Germans all over.
Right.
So this is what this is. So in that jacket, you open it up and you'll see that jacket has it right in there. If you had the FBI come and take it, they would know that.
They would find chocolate in
They
there.
would find chocolate in there.
All right. Well, let's set this down. I think that's most interesting. And you can have a seat again, and we'll.
While I was talking to you, I forgot something else to say, but I forgot it. That's the way it goes.
Oh yeah.
See, I go to schools, incidentally, and here's a note I got from 300 students in the schools. I go, and and here she is here.
Okay. And what do you talk about?
I take this out.
Okay.
And I talk to the kids, and I said, ask me any question that you want about the war. And I says, don't be ashamed to ask me what. So one of the questions that was asked to me, how did I feel when I killed that other fella in the other plane from the sky? And I looked at her or him. There was 300 of them in there, and I says, well, it was either him or me, us. Him or us, because there was 7 in the plane.
Right.
So that's that story. And so when I go to the schools, I try to tell the students, complete your education. I don't care what you do. And if your father pays for it, your mother pays for it, listen to them, do it. Because in the long run, you're going to benefit by it. I told all the kids, they all remember, that's one of the letters. I got a stack like this of 300 letters, and I've got them.
Good.
So my personal feeling about the war is, yes, I was at the war. But I want to help anybody and anybody, anytime, anywhere, if I am able to. And people should do the same. And I tried to esteem them on it because I said your mother and father are paying for education, so take the best out of it. Because once you get out of school, you're not going to have anybody paying for anything. You're going to do it yourself. You either got to go to work or Kmart's or Mondays or everything else. So,
let's try and go back now to when did you come back to the States?
Oh, in 1975.
No, after the when did your tour duty end?
My tour ended. My tour ended when they dropped the bomb.
Oh, is that so?
That's right, because when they dropped the bomb, the president said the president who was Truman. They dropped the bomb. The war was over there, and over there, the war was over because they were cleaning up. And I seen places there that there's pictures in here, places that I've seen that were cleaning up. This here is Pearl Harbor. My mother saved that.
Oh.
There's all the guys that died on Pearl Harbor. My mother saved that for me.
Oh, yeah, these are just the Arizona, though.
No, here.
Yeah, but these fellas who are listed.
Yeah.
That can't be all of them, because they're...
No, all the ones that was in the paper. There's the newspaper there that my mother saved for me.
Yeah. But there were like 1,500 that went down with the year.
That's right.
So.
That's right. So that's in there. My mother saved that for me. She says, well, she saved even my letters. She saved.
What? How did you get back to the States? Did you?
I got back. I got back by boat.
By boat.
The New Hampshire Dam. That was a boat. It was a Dutch boat. They couldn't speak a word of English. We were so jammed up with guys in there. There were 5 deep, 5 bunks, one after the other. Of course, everybody was calisthenics. You know, you could jump. you could jump from there down to the ground. If they wanted to get out, they could get out.
Sure.
But they could not. They could not. We couldn't go anyplace or do anything. We were cramped. We were cramped.
How long did they?
It took us. It took us. I'm going to say 5 days.
And you were just happy to get each day gone.
Every day I was happy to be gone. I had claustrophobia. I'll tell you. Boy, I'll tell you, it was something.
Where did you dock?
We dumped. They stayed in the Statue of Liberty.
I'm going to ask again, where did you dock? You got to let it run for a second or two. Where did you dock when you came back, Joe, or Pete?
At the Statue of Liberty. And needless to say, when I got off that boat, I got on the ground. I cried. I remember crying. I says, thank you, God, for me being alive. And to this day, I have at the Statue of Liberty, at the island there, my mother and my father, my mother's maiden name, and then on that stone, the Schamante name.
Good. Excellent. How did you get back to Detroit?
Let me see, back to Detroit. When did I get back?
Or did you spend a lot of time in New York?
Oh, you know, sometimes I don't. Oh, I went to New York. That's what it was. I went to New York before this 7-Eleven deal, and I was in an elevator. I got out of the. I went in. We got in. My wife and I. We got married. We got married. My wife and I on the 7th. The 7th. And we went there, and instead of going up, we went down to the basement. The door opened up, and I saw one of my fellows that I flew with in this book.
Wow.
And we talked and talked.
How extraordinary.
From the elevator. I mean, that was something. And he asked me, and I asked him, when did you come back? When did this? And that's the only way I got information about everybody that's dead now, where everybody is. And I know where one of my pilots is. Now, I found out he's in California. He's a lawyer.
Oh.
but he's old now.
Sure.
So I said, what are you doing now? He says, I'm counting the days. And I says, counting the days? And I says, what? I says, for a mission? I joked. He says, no. He says, just how long before I'm going to go?
Yeah.
I says, hey, forget about it. You only the good die young and you got a long life to live. See, I mean, I'm a jokester.
Sure.
Another incident, this I got to tell you. I had, on one of the missions, there were several missions, but one of the missions, I remember, when I landed, I don't know, I was lucky we landed for some reason or other. Usually, we'd come in first if we were able to. Well, we weren't able to. But eventually, we were able to land, and we landed in the pictures here, with the nose wheel down, and we, in the snow. And this picture is right in here that I got. Not my plane, but exactly like what I flew in, and exactly what happened to me happened to this.
Could you,
It's in here.
if it's going to take too long to find, then
I can't. Right here. One of the any.
oh, that one there?
There it is, right there.
Oh, okay.
One of the gears was landing.
This is the strip he's talking about. Shows them coming in, they're off the runway. And now the nose wheel wiped out. And she's on her nose. There were no casualties, and it had 2 tons of bombs.
And
So you experienced that nose wheel going out on you.
that's right.
So, scary.
See, I got here of the pictures that I took from the schools that I go to, that this woman made for me.
Yeah,
I don't know if you need that, but I just said, I thought maybe you need some. I have my own voice talk of my missions too, like what you got here. I got it too. And if there's something you want, I'll give it to you, and you can, I don't know if you can put it in there or not. Mine's a little box like this.
That's the problem, is we may not have the ability to even listen to it.
You could hear it.
Well, if it would fit in.
Yeah, well, you could repeat. Well, and I was talking about name, address, phone number, and stuff like that, because I thought maybe you would want something and then I'd forget.
Well, I don't know what I want. All I know is I want to get your story.
You got my story.
Right. You said you were recalled.
Oh, and I got called back in 1952, and I went back from there. Needless to say, Arizona, same base I was when I shipped out to go to Florida.
I'll be darned. I'll be darned.
You see what I'm saying? Something is happening to me. Something's happening. But I went back there, and that's when I said to my boss, oh, I'm a master sergeant now. I said, that's only shoots two rockers. I'm a master now. I made them master. That's when I became master. Then I went back in 1952. The same place, and everything repeated itself. But I told my commanding officer, not this commanding officer, this guy is the one from there. I says, I am not gonna go back overseas
And fly any missions.
or fly any missions. I says, my days are done. So you see how things are, same place, same thing, everything.
So were you an instructor then?
I was an instructor, and what I did, I was in the repair depot doing typewriters, because I was a mechanic. I was doing typewriters, adding machines, calculators, mimeograph machines, and stuff like that. And it kept me busy, you know what I mean? So that's what I did. And needless to say, well, in 1942, I'm going to say 42, when I went there in Arizona, we had a flood.
Oh, jeez.
We had a flood. And the flood was going in the front door. I had sandbags there, going right out the back.
That happens out there in the desert.
Yeah.
How long were you in when they recalled you?
They recalled. I got back in 19. I said 7.
I thought you said 52 or 50.
1952. That's it. 1952.
How long did they hold on to you?
They held on me until I said I had enough. I want to go. And here's the story. My mother, my father, my mother-in-law, my mother-in-law, my aunt and uncle. So they put in John DeArca that you put on the tape. Okay. That's one of the ones that the guy that was in the service. He's dead now, but he was with Bob Hope in that. He was with Bob Hope. I told my aunt on my wife's side now. I'm talking about my wife, that I would take care of my brother-in-law and her son. I says. And what I did is I sent them off to school instead of them going to the Korean War, because I lost a brother. I lost a cousin in the Navy.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah, over in wherever the island was. That's where he was. He had his butt cut off, put off from the thin windshield, and he was my age. Him and I were the same age. So I told my aunt, and I promised my aunt that I'd take care of it. So I sent him off to school. He didn't have to go.
What kind of work did you do when you got back to the States? Did you go back to printing?
No. I didn't go back to printing. You name it, I've done it. I've done everything. I was a fruit peddler. I was a magazine salesperson. I was a manager for Sears, Montgomery Wards, Penny's, all the various states I became a manager. And right now I am working in a shoe store, a big shoe store right on Shaner and Hall Road, the DFW. They have my jacket there. They want my jacket there. And I talk to World War II veterans.
Very good.
And they come and talk to me. And I'm saying to myself, how can I get a way to tell the world what I know, what I felt, and everything, and say that war should not be, there should be no wars. And yet they're fighting it. They're fighting for war. They're doing wars and it shouldn't be. And what can I tell you? Look at me. I'm one.
You have to convince, I won't say.
I know.
Did you have any children, Joe?
Yes, I had a boy and a girl, and a boy and a girl.
Oh, 4.
Yeah. My girl, my one girl, she's a teacher. She's just retired. She goes to the hospitals and she talks to people that are in the hospital. She does it now today.
Right.
No pay, no pay, no pay, no gain. She does that. My other daughter is a union representative steward. I'm going to say she's the president. She's the president of the union now.
Okay.
Okay, that's my daughter. My 2 daughters. Now, my son John had his own business. He does printing. Remember printing? But he does color work and all that. This is black and white. See, he does color work. He does all that for the various companies, the Ford Motor Company, General Motors. He did that, and that's what he did. Now my son Sal, he's a pilot. He went to the Air Force Academy. The president gave him his diploma at the Air Force Academy. Now this is it. He saved, and I got the letter, he saved an aircraft, a T-20, a T-38. They told him to bail out. He stayed with the plane. He had another pilot that was learning, was so scared again through my son that he told him what to do. And they had trouble when they made their turn to come in. The aileron wouldn't work. And so they had to do it one way or the other. They were at 38,000 feet. And they were doing a lot of things for it. So he says, I'm going to try one more thing. They told him to bail out when they got down at a certain level. So he said, I'm going to try one more thing when he got down lower. So when he got down lower, say he did one of these, way out, way around, because it wouldn't, he got down low enough, so then what he does, he put it in a dive and then brought it out.
Oh.
And it broke loose.
Excellent.
When he landed, they looked at what went wrong. He saved the United States of America millions of dollars of a problem that they had on the T-38.
Oh, we heard. Excellent.
Now he's retired. He's not retired. Now he quit the Air Force. He's working for United Airlines. He's the #1 man. He flies the 747, the biggest one they have. He's the youngest one they have. He's 41 years old.
Excellent.
That's my 4th family.
Wonderful.
So you see, my family did something.
Yes.
And only me as a peon. I say that, and you laugh.
The story you tell us today, you did something in your life.
Well, that's what I did, and I don't care. And like this gentleman here is taking my picture, and he's saying to me, and I say to you, sir, I don't care how much hand you have your hand. If you get my feelings across to people and understand what I'm trying to say about life, I don't care how much hair you have. I appreciate everything that you've done for me. Jim, I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Peter, we appreciate you coming in, participating in this, And this tape, you'll get a copy of this tape today. But a copy of the tape is, this whole conversation is then typed out by some of our volunteers.
Okay.
And a copy of this tape and that tape also go to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. And are part of the...
That's good, because maybe they will know. I want them to know. I want them to know. Because if there's anything here that I said, it's not that I did it intentionally, it's because I forgot, or I didn't know, or something. But
Right.
they will know that it's from me.
Yes, it will.
And that's what I want them to know.
It's directly from you.
Directly from me is right. And not only that, but the president, not his, it's his father that gave my son his diploma.
Oh, very nice.
You know what I'm trying to tell
Yeah.
you? See, that's you got a story
Yeah.
there.
Well,
So
I'd like to thank you for coming in and doing this with us.
I thank you for listening to me.
A most interesting story. I personally would like to thank you for your service.
Well,
Because of what you guys did, I had the life that I had, which was very nice.
and incidentally, this is all the places that I was wanting to tell you about
Oh,
that I was at.
oh my goodness.
Now you look at that. You got the names too.
Yeah.
There it is right there. If you want to take that as a...
Well, we couldn't get the lettering.
Okay.
There's no way we could get that lettering in.
Well, that's what that
Those
is
are all
right
the
there.
targets.
That's all the place. And everybody did the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
There it is right there.
I still am flabbergasted at what you guys did, so, and I will be forever. You know, flying over into Germany and stuff like that, that would,
And another thing is, how did I feel? Remember when somebody asked me about what I feel? See, it doesn't make any difference.
Right.
See, once in a while I have a period of...
well, it's already on the tape,
Yeah,
because you did say that when you were
yeah.
earlier on, so we've captured that.
Yeah, it's sometimes, oh, that's the Marauders.
Oh,
See it? And that's when it's gonna be. It's, the Marauders is gonna be, does it say where it's gonna be?
it says board member museum.
Yeah. There's three.
No, they're just talking about the board member there.
Oh, the board maker?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it at home then.
Yeah,
But that's the Marauders that I was on. There's the guys that were,
they're part of the 397?
yeah, 390, 396, 7th, 8th, 9th.
Oh, okay. And they were all a part of the 8th Air Force, weren't
Yes.
they?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
And the 9th,
okay, and the 9th,
yeah, because
Okay.
Eisenhower was the commanding officer.
Right.
You know,
right.
and old Blood and Guts, boy,
Oh, yeah.
he was something else.
Well, thank you very much, Peter.
Okay, sir.
We're about at the limits of what we can go here,
Well, that's all right.
so I shall thank you, and I shall stop this.
That's the Marauders right here.
Very good.